Chapter 161, Seeking Luck and Avoiding Calamity. After the reunion night, things were beautiful and joyful. During the morning of the second day, Feng Lin woke up on his bed. The sunlight passed through the window and shone upon his face, causing him to feel a slight warmth. Outside, the blue sky and white clouds along with the warm sunlight would lift one's emotions. Yesterday was the New Year's Eve, a rare chance for Feng Lin to take a break. But now, he could no longer be lazy. The path of cultivation required one to constantly forge forward. It brooked no delays. After Feng Lin washed up, he instantly entered the assiduous state of cultivation as the genetic potential of his body continued to increase. Genetic potential plus 40%, plus 40%, plus 40%. Very soon, it reached 218%. Feng Lin's vitality stats surged up. It had a beneficial effect of hastening his cultivation speed as well. Very soon, he received 2 free basic genetic points. He didn't even think about it and instantly added the points to the psychokinesis gene. The strengthening tally of the psychokinesis gene jumped from 4 to 6. Puh! A commotion shook the air as a formless ripple gushed forth, transforming into substantial energy. The pillow in his room, cups, chairs, all these objects silently started to float up, being controlled by the formless Psi-Force. Feng Lin silently basked in this sensation. He could feel his Psi-Force becoming stronger again. A rough estimate would be that he was able to lift objects roughly 100+ kilograms in weight. Under his Psi-Force control, all objects could be easily manipulated. This was extremely wondrous. However, Feng Lin was frowning. He didn't feel satisfied in his heart. Although Psi-Force could be used in many crafty ways, it wasn't that powerful and couldn't really deal substantial damage. To him who was already an interstellar cultivator, it wasn't that useful at all. After all, this psychokinesis gene was only a basic tier gene. One might be able to employ its abilities in cunning ways, but its grade was still too low. If Feng Lin used this to deal with people weaker than him, he would naturally be successful. But toward experts on the same level as him, it naturally wouldn't be that useful. Earlier when fighting Feng Xiaoyu, Feng Lin didn't even think about using this gene because it would be useless. Only after evolving this into the spirit gene would it be useful against powerhouses of the same tier. After settling the conflict of his clan, Feng Lin felt extremely relaxed as though the invisible giant mountain pressing down on him had been shifted away. He felt freer now and had the time to properly consider his future path. Right now, his stone money gene had already been maxed out at 10 points. He was only one step away from evolving that to the spiritual stone monkey gene. As long as he took that step, he would be able to become an elite cultivator and start on the path of transcendence. Now, everything was ready. He was only lacking the spirit gene. Stone monkey gene X10 plus spirit gene X10 equals spiritual stone monkey gene. Mental gene X9 plus psychokinesis gene X6 plus spirituality gene X8 equals spirit gene. The evolution path of the spiritual stone money gene appeared in Feng Lin's mind. The spirit gene could be divided into 3 basic genes. They were the mental gene, psychokinesis gene, and spirituality gene. Gene, mental gene. Grade, high-grade basic gene. Strengthening tally, 9. Ability, double one's mental strength, allowing one to hypnotize the hearts of others. Gene, psychokinesis gene. Grade, high-grade basic gene. Strengthening tally, 6. Ability, formless Psi-Force, shifting objects through space. Gene, spirituality gene. Grade, high-grade basic gene. Strengthening tally, 3. Ability, strengthening subconsciousness, sensing the unknown, seeking luck, and avoiding calamity. For the mental gene and psychokinesis gene, their abilities were easy to understand. Only for the spirituality gene was Feng Lin bewildered. Ever since he had awakened the spirituality gene, Feng Lin didn't feel that it had any specific use at all. It seemed to be of no benefit to him, totally not essential. Strengthening subconsciousness, sensing the unknown, seeking luck, and avoiding calamity? Feng Lin glanced at the information about this gene as he silently pondered while having a few guesses in his heart. According to the information, the spirituality gene didn't pose any direct threat. It was an extremely mysterious supporting ability, allowing one to strengthen their subconsciousness, sense the unknown, and predict danger. Since now Feng Lin had enough time to experiment, he activated the spirituality gene. Instantly, he felt the cool energy coursing through his body, connecting the interior and exterior. There seemed to be a clear stream of spring water pouring down onto his head. Feng Lin's subconsciousness seemed to be undergoing a baptism, clearing his distracted thoughts, raising his consciousness into a mysterious dimension that allowed him to sense this world from another dimension. Countless scenes flashed through his vision like shooting stars arcing through the air. All of these were scenes he had experienced before. They were merely a fleeting glance in passing. However, it was strange that right now, omens began to appear in his mind as the scenes flashed past. Furnace alchemy art. Omen, very auspicious. If he could restore alchemy of ancient times, he would be able to establish a unique faction of his own in the interstellar space. In the future, it had great potential for developing. He might even become an extremely famous alchemy master in the future. Accepting Feng Shui's recruitment offer. Omen, terrible. The struggle for authority in the ancestral clan is extremely fierce. All outsiders would be devoured until not even their bones are left. Returning to the Feng clan. Omen, useless. The restrictions are too much, impeding one's growth. Only when a bird is free from its cage would it be able to fly freely in the vast skies. All sorts of events and choices he made in his life gave rise to different premonitions. Feng Lin's spirituality expanded. A mysterious perceptive subconscious allowed him to sense things that had yet to happen, as well as his life in the future, which was influenced by his choices and encounters. Was this what it meant to seek luck and avoid calamity? Feng Lin contemplated about this. This was a mysterious power that allowed him to use his immense mental energy to predict the future and sense the omen of his choices. As to how many star regions there are in the interstellar space, there would be an equivalent number of Feng clan's branches. All interstellar clans would use this method to ensure that there would be an injection of fresh blood back into the ancestral clans in the future. The clan Yorian is just one of the Feng ancestral clan's branches in the solar system. At this moment, a voice rang out in his mind. This was the information Feng Xiaoyu had divulged in hopes of recruiting him. Earth's branch clans. Omen, undeterminable. All major interstellar clans would have branch clans. The information was too sparse, and he wasn't able to predict anything. But right now, through the spirituality gene, Feng Lin suddenly sensed an extreme strangeness about Earth. According to Feng Xiaoyu, since the Feng ancestral clan had a branch in the solar system, why wouldn't the other major interstellar clans also insert a branch clan of theirs here? The more Feng Lin thought about it, the more he felt it was strange. For some reason, the giant pharmaceutical company came into his mind. The giant pharmaceutical company could be considered a major player in the genetic potion industry of the solar system. Why would they base their headquarters on Mars and not on Earth? Mars was only 1/7 of Earth's size. If they had the power to do so, why didn't they carry on their God creation plan and the human experimentations on Earth instead? One must know that Earth was the origin point of humanity, the place where humanity had risen. It could be considered a treasure trove of humanity. From the looks of things now, It wasn't that the giant pharmaceutical company didn't want to do so, but they couldn't do so. Feng Lin's heart stirred. The spirituality gene warned him that several currents in Earth would have a great influence on his future. This mysterious power of the spirituality gene was extremely wondrous, but even so, it wasn't able to predict whether things would be a blessing or calamity for him. Since he wasn't able to determine it from the spirituality gene, Feng Lin decided to investigate it himself. Feng Lin pulled out from that mysterious state of elevated subconscious. He used the Star Internet Network to search for news about Earth's branch clans. Ji Clan, Xianyuan Clan, Zeus Clan, Pendragon Clan. He involuntarily drew in a deep breath. The waters of Earth were extremely deep indeed. Chapter 162, The Depth of Earth's Water. Earth was the origin point of humanity. Even if it had declined for a long time, a skinny camel was still larger than a horse. Its foundation was unmatched by any other planets. Feng Lin read through the search results regarding the clan's naming taboos, and clouds of haze rose in his heart. He had been too weak before and didn't know much about the truths and secrets. All he thought about Earth was that it was a fallen planet. It seemed as if things weren't that simple after all. The Earth's resources were exhausted. Clans which inhabited the planet were small and stood no chance in the rankings of Interstellar. That being said, it didn't mean they didn't have their own support. Ji Clan, Xianyuan Clan, Zeus Clan, Pendragon Clan, these taboos names were enough to sink someone deep in thoughts. Their origins might not be all too ordinary. Feng Clan originated from Fuxi. Then, could it be that Ji Clan originated from King Wen of Zhou? Could the Xianyuan clan's origin be the Yellow Emperor, Xianyuan? Was Zeus Clan the descendants of Zeus, the king of Mount Olympus? Was Pendragon Clan the inheritor of King Arthur's genes? Although these were mere speculations, Feng Lin gathered information from his experience and felt it was possible. Earth was the origin point of humanity, even if it was absent of spirit particles and had declined for a long time. Yet, how impressive were the ancient humans' mythologies! Every race had different variations of mythology. Like the sun, moon, and stars decorating across the starry night, it reflected brightly against each other. Nobody knew that this seemingly mediocre Earth had already been swept in and out countless times. Did it contain an even deeper secret? As more mythologies were dug out and played through the gigantic he realized from the text of these ancient mythologies that the ancient era wasn't inferior to the interstellar era. In fact, the former far surpassed the latter. For those ancestors of humanity which seemed like gods or devils, the interstellar human beings who embarked on the path of extraordinary 3,000 years ago were just that, mere humans. They had yet kept up with their ancestors. That was the reason why the famous aristocrats of interstellar empire would leave a branch on Earth. They were ceaseless in trying to dig out Earth's deepest secret. This created an undercurrent of chaos on Earth. The giant pharmaceutical company might seem powerful in the solar system, but they were unable to establish themselves on Earth. Though, the pure-blooded Aryan society they had was their hidden power, something to be reckoned with. Yet, according to Feng Lin's contact with those blonde, white people from before, he realized that the situation didn't seem to be in their favor. They were just like a street rat in the universe, with people constantly after them. These interstellar ancestral clans had inherited their respective genes and had a great foundation. They weren't people to be trifled with. While these branch clans were small on Earth, as long as they had inherited some foundation from the interstellar ancestral clan, they were unmatched foes. They didn't have many elite cultivators, but they were able to ceaselessly groom basic cultivators. Prodigies could be found in every generation. Those people would leave the solar system back to their respective ancestor clans. Such a foundation was beyond imagination. The shallowness of foundation would be proof of disparity amongst opponents. Fenglin recalled Earth High School. Even though it was a well-known school, it had been in decline for a long time. Just by breaking 2 in his vitality, he was recognized as the prodigy of his class. On the contrary, basic cultivators who broke through the vitality of 10 in these ancient clans were not an uncommon sight. Fenglin grew more and more intrigued after realizing that the mythologies in these earth clans were different in its setup too. In the Chinese mythology system, there were Yang clan, Guan clan, Yao clan. Greek mythology system consisted of Apollo clan, Poseidon clan, Hades clan. They had every mythology system, and it was totally different. It seemed like this interstellar entrance examination would be fascinating. A glint of interest swept across Fenglin's eyes. At first, he thought this would be a regular examination. Now that people from these clans were entering, the competition would undoubtedly be much more complicated. Even though Fenglin was already a basic cultivator, there was still a nagging feeling that it still wasn't enough. Only through becoming an elite cultivator, turning into an indisputable extraordinaire, would he be confident in rising above others. There was no point looking at it any further, and Fenglin didn't waste any more energy. No matter what the clan his opponent was from, they would be competitors the moment they entered the examination hall. Their background wouldn't matter no matter how impressive it was. They would be fighting with their own abilities. Fenglin took out a bottle of perfect-grade potion of life and gulped it down at once before starting his strenuous training. As the potion seeped into his stomach, a warm current flowed through as fiery as scalding water. The nutrition particles spread across his entire body, strengthening his body in haste. Fenglin transformed energy into qi, converting these nutrients into genetic potential with all his might. He would first have to upgrade his psychokinesis gene and spirituality gene, fusing them into spirit gene. Only when the spirit gene reached 10 points could he proceed to the next step of evolving it into spiritual stone monkey gene. Fenglin's goal wasn't as simple as just becoming a basic cultivator. Interstellar University was just a collective term. There were different grades involved as well. From the lowest to the highest, there were Planet University, Star Region University, Interstellar Empire University, and lastly, Cosmos University. Planet University was the lowest ranking and would usually recruit from one planet. The few universities on Earth were like that. Their foundation was too shallow and one wouldn't be able to learn anything. More often than not, they imparted knowledge about the culture in their classes. Once they graduated, they would work for other companies and have nothing to do with cultivation thereafter. On the other hand, Star Region University recruited from the entire Star Region. As big as the solar system was, only Golden Crow University could barely reach this level. There, people would only be able to learn limited cultivation knowledge. Interstellar Empire University was a university set up by each interstellar country to recruit students from their own country. The level of potential differed from each country, and so the standard of the university had the disparity of heaven and earth. A smaller Interstellar Empire University wouldn't be too different from Star Region University. That being said, the most prestigious Interstellar Empire University was completely different. Huaxia Star Republic's magnificent Star University was famous in the interstellar space. They had no lack of prodigies, and each student had enough talent to suppress a nation. Cosmos University was a top university which recruited mankind from all over interstellar space. There were even exceptional cases where they recruited the alien race. However, it was too far of a goal for Fenglin at the moment. The details of Cosmos University almost seemed like the ultimate secret of mankind. He was unable to find anything about it. How many Cosmos Universities were there? Where was it located at? How was its foundation? These were all mystery. He couldn't find any information about them no matter how hard he searched. it seemed like he would only be able to know them by entering one. Since Feng Lin was going to enter the interstellar entrance examinations, he naturally didn't consider the normal universities. If he were to take this examination, then he would aim for the prestigious school. Only among these universities would he be able to interact with interstellar space's main powers, allowing himself to grow even faster. Feng Lin transformed his energy into qi. His stomach felt like an oven as it digested all the nutrient particles. Genetic potential plus 50%, plus 50%, plus 50%. It reached 368% at the end of the session. His parents and siblings were aware of the severity of cultivation and did not disturb him. Therefore, he could cultivate in peace. Feng Lin gained 3 basic genetic points at once and upped his spirituality gene to 6. Feng Lin's vitality attributes transformed impressively. Name, Feng Lin. Vitality, 90.8. Primeval genes, stone monkey gene, 10. Basic genes, monkey gene, 10, stone birth gene, 10, adrenaline gene, 1, mental gene, 9, psychokinesis gene, 6, spirituality gene, 6. Genetic potential, 18%. Training for the day completed. Feng Lin's eyes shot open and a bright light radiated all around. His vitality reached 90.8 in one go, breaking through the 90 milestones. He ought to think about how to strengthen his mythological gene from now on. He had a plan. Feng Lin's fingers tapped against the identity microchip and entered Star Internet Network's biggest forum. Mythological Forum. Chapter 163, Mythological Forum. Mythological Forum. This was the largest cultivation forum in the entire interstellar space. Countless cultivators would discuss their knowledge and experience regarding cultivation there. Interstellar humans were all on their respective mythological paths. If there was a complete pathway, the cultivators would be clearer of each evolutionary route, and their future would be boundlessly bright. Cultivators on such a pathway were usually envied by the vast majority of others. As long as one's talent was high enough, they would be able to smoothly continue cultivating down their path until they reached the realm where they could dominate the starry space. For those interstellar aristocrat clans, the number of those who possessed a complete evolutionary mythological pathway could be counted on one hand. For those who had a complete path, they started to rise extremely quickly when humanity first began cultivating and became overlords of the starry space with a single leap. Other than those few complete mythological paths, the vast majority were all incomplete as they lacked too much knowledge. Without a predecessor to guide the path, the cultivators on the incomplete paths could only explore themselves and forcibly evolve their genes into the ones they thought were right. This was an extremely dangerous practice. For light injuries, their cultivation bases would suffer setbacks. For heavy injuries, their genes might even collapse as they became cripples. In extreme cases, they might even die. Now, all the mythological knowledge humanity possessed had been excavated from ancient ruins, and they were severely lacking in content. There were huge blank gaps everywhere with regards to the various mythological systems of different civilizations. The interstellar humans had to fill up the gaps themselves. This mythological forum was precisely a forum to allow cultivators who had experienced different things to share their knowledge and experience freely. This was an internet Q&A community that connected cultivators from all around the universe, which allowed the forum to be filled with all sorts of information. As long as you wished to answer something, you could visit the forum and search through it. However, all this knowledge wasn't free. There might be some cultivation knowledge that was commonly shared. But those valuable cultivation secrets were priceless in value. One had to pay enough star coins to obtain them. Knowledge was priceless. Mythological knowledge was priceless upon priceless. Is this the mythological version of Korra? Feng Lin mused. However, he came here not to get answers. On the contrary, he came here to answer questions. The greatest unique characteristic of the Mythological Forum was that there was a special community with specialists named Mythology Great versus Existing. The people there understood mythological knowledge and would guide people in their cultivation. Through answering questions, they would be able to earn large amounts of star coins. But with regards to mythological knowledge, who would be able to compare to Feng Lin? Feng Lin was simply a natural-born mythology great V. He could completely depend on this advantage to earn star coins in the Mythological Forum. However, no one was following him yet. It was better for him to start small by answering bits and pieces of the questions of others as he earned fame for himself. Some people were too poor. They had no way to pay large amounts of money to ask those great V specialists. Hence, they would usually offer a reward for a question to attract different people to answer. If in the end they found an answer they were satisfied with, they would send the money over. Behind this transaction, the forum's AI would monitor everything. There was no need to worry about any cases of deceit. Although the offered reward wasn't high, no matter how tiny a mosquito is, it is also meat. Right now, Feng Lin didn't have the qualifications to demand anything. The most important thing for him now was to build up fame. For the specialists in the Mythology Great V community, as long as one had enough fame, they could have anything. First, he had to register an ID. Feng Lin didn't bother to think too much and directly inputted 2 words. Hongjun. Registration completed. Hongjun, welcome to the Mythological Forum. A notification rang out. Feng Lin's eyes flashed. He knew that his idea was right. At the start, when he knew about his overwhelming advantage on mythological knowledge, he had already searched the internet. Humanity had rediscovered stories about Pan Gu, Fuxi, Niwa, and a portion of the various mythological stories about the different gods. However, nobody knew about the Tao ancestor Hongjun. One must know that even in the era before all myths and legends disappeared, Tao ancestor Hongjun was already an extremely mysterious existence that only appeared very briefly in stories like the Investiture of the Gods. As to Hongjun's origin and how he succeeded in his Tao, all these were unsolvable mysteries. Even Feng Lin had no idea, let alone the people of this era. They had long since lost all records about Tao ancestor Hongjun. Before this, when Feng Lin established the Mythological Gene Association, he gave himself the name Lord Hongjun because he knew about this point. Now in the Mythological Forum, he also used the same name for his ID. As expected, things were the same as his ID in the virtual university Wukong. No one had used it before. Feng Lin silently marveled at how lucky he was. With a good name for his ID, he felt that this was a good omen. After awakening the spirituality gene, Feng Lin's foresight was extremely powerful. He felt that it shouldn't be too difficult for him to become a mythology great V. He opened up the interface of the Mythological Forum and started to browse through it. He discovered that there were countless posts here, but they could roughly be classified into 4 types: wealth, companion, law, earth. These 4 words were precisely the 4 critical components of cultivation. These simple 4 words consisted of the true logic of cultivation. Wealth equaled to cultivation resources. Without wealth, no matter how high your talent was, you would be nothing but an ordinary mortal without enough cultivation resources to nurture and support your growth. In the ancient Earth era, Yang Lechen, Dong Haichuan, Sun Lutong, these people were at the peak of martial arts, possessing extremely profound skills. However, they were still unable to break through the limits of humans' natural lifespan and eventually died. No matter how great your skill was, you were unable to go against the heavens. If there were no spiritual substances like cultivation resources, even supreme geniuses would have no way to become extraordinary. Hence, the word wealth, was the hottest section of the Mythological forum. Feng Lin clicked in only to see a flood of posts. There were also many replies to each post and were all with regard to the transaction of cultivation resources. Buying spirit crystals in bulk. 1 for 1,000,000 star coins. If keen, please contact King Purchaser. Selling fire-bellied salamander scales, 10,500 star coins for 1 portion. Beast Hunter 123. Mid-martial basic grade genetic potions for sale. I also have a transformation potion. The highest bidder wins. Medicine Demon 0-inch. Feng Lin browsed through the posts. The replies were extremely lively. For a moment, he felt as though he had entered a city's food market. Everything was bustling. Companion referred to Tao companions. Laws referred to cultivation arts and secret techniques. Earth referred to the various cultivation-based powers. The content for each section was naturally different. Feng Lin skimmed through wealth. He didn't spend too much time on this. After that, he clicked into the laws section. This section was divided into cultivation arts and secret techniques, martial arts, experience, insights, and many smaller segments. It also gave an introduction to the various methods of cultivation. This was the place with the greatest number of offered rewards. Feng Lin focused and started to search. The more questions he answered, the more fame he would accumulate about his mythological knowledge. Then he would be able to easily attract the attention of others. There was no need to doubt that he would be able to become a mythology great very quickly too. He clicked into the first offered reward question. This was a question that offered 10,000 star coins as a reward and had attracted many people to browse it. However, no one managed to claim the reward yet. Clearly, those who had tried to answer before this didn't have the correct answer. What question is it exactly? Is it really so difficult? Feng Lin felt curious in his heart. He discovered that the question was posed by a person with the ID, a fatty with a cultivation dream. When he saw the content, Feng Lin involuntarily laughed. This question was simply too marvelous. Sincerely asking this question. Since young, I've awakened the obese gene and my weight reached over 500 kilograms. Now, I can't even walk properly. Everyone says that I am trash. Do I have any hope? Is there any mythological path that can allow me to become a genetic cultivator? We can slowly discuss the reward if you find the 10,000 star coins insufficient. Below the question, there was even a JPG file denoting helplessness. Chapter 164, Path to Godhood. Underneath the posts, there were emoticons of laughter and extremely mean replies. 500 kilograms? You didn't awaken the obese gene, but the fat pig gene instead, right? Fatty, you want to know how to cultivate? Just sit there and eat while waiting for your death. You are wasting the food of humanity, and now, you even wish to waste our cultivation resources? Cyberbullies would exist everywhere. The interstellar era was of no exception. These cyberbullies were all extremely mean. Their words were like sharp knives and were all exceptionally hurtful. So what if I'm fat? Can't a fatty cultivate? The poster fatty with a cultivation dream replied, and he was so angered that he was panting. But how would online bullies be bothered with you? They were simply posting mean comments because they wanted to. All of them posted emoticons of malicious expressions with mocking smiles. Haha, I'm about to die from laughter. A pig also wants to become a cultivator? This must be the greatest joke in interstellar space. Truly ridiculous. Since you are so fat, just honestly wait for death to claim you. Upping the previous post. +1. +1. +10086. At the start, the ID fatty with a cultivation dream was still earnestly trying to explain. However, His replies were soon drowned by countless others from cyberbullies. After that, he completely stopped replying. It was clear he had given up. Seeing that there was no reply after a long time, the cyberbullies mocked him even more. There were some who couldn't stand this bullying and stood up for him, but their voices were soon drowned by the bullies as well. Upon seeing this, Feng Lin coldly snorted. Mocking and insulting others with no rhyme or reason? Building one's happiness on the misery of others? What was there to laugh about? 10,000 star coins? This wasn't a small amount. Can't those with the obese gene cultivate? Feng Lin instantly used his genetic equation ability and started to view information about the obese gene. Gene, obese gene. Grade, low-grade basic gene. Strengthening tally, 0. Ability, accumulation of fat, body shape would resemble a meatball, allowing one to alleviate direct impact to some degree. He discovered that although the obese gene was one of the lowest-grade basic genes, it wasn't completely useless. Through accumulation of fats, the user could effectively use their fatty flesh to form a defensive layer. It had the ability to alleviate direct impact. There were only useless people, there were no useless genes. Feng Lin believed that the obese gene would surely have its unique evolutionary path. Before this, wasn't his monkey gene and stonebirth gene the same as well? They were being called trash genes by others. But in the end, didn't he manage to forge out a path for himself? Feng Lin made use of his genetic potential to deduce the pathway. Very swiftly, 42% genetic potential was consumed as he received new information. Obese gene X8, binge eating gene X10, pigskin gene X6 equals big belly gene. Gene, big belly gene. Grade, mid-grade primeval gene. Strengthening tally, 0. Ability, allowing one to have a shocking appetite. The elasticity of skin will be equivalent to pigskin, allowing one to protect oneself from injury by blunting direct impact force. As the strengthening tally rises, this defensive ability will continue to be enhanced. Feng Lin instantly understood with a single glance. Things were as he had expected. There were no trash genes, there were only people who didn't know how to develop their genes. Even for the obese gene, it could also be combined with the other genes to form a higher grade and higher tier gene. Through the internal answering channel, Feng Lin wrote an answer for the customer. Fatty gene can be combined with binge-eating gene and pigskin gene. All three of them can be synthesized into a mid-grade primeval gene named the big belly gene. There are only trash humans and no trash genes. I hope you can become a true interstellar cultivator and fulfill your dream. He ended the sentence with an encouraging note. Naturally, Feng Lin wouldn't be so silly as to divulge the full genetic formula. Every complete genetic formula could be the starting point of a genetic cultivation art. How could he reveal it so easily? The price of 10,000 star coins was far from enough. After answering this question, Feng Lin continued to browse through the other posts. I've awakened the hurricane gene. If I want to walk on energy-type gene paths, I wonder what can I do to unleash my greatest potential? This was a question with 5,000 star coins offered as the reward. Up until today, no one had managed to claim the reward yet. It seemed like their answers weren't able to satisfy the question poster. This was simple. Feng Lin felt that this was extremely simple. In fact, he didn't even need to use his genetic equation ability and already knew the answer. He ran through his memories of mythological knowledge and discovered that for those legendary characters, when wind was combined with fire or lightning, the effect unleashed would be the greatest. Wind and fire engendered each other. Wind could boost the power of fire, allowing it to blaze more brilliantly to the point where it could incinerate everything. When wind and thunder combined, gales of wind would whistle while lightning rained from the sky. it would generate a devastating storm that could destroy everything. Undoubtedly, fire-type and lightning-type genes were the best combinations with wind-type genes. Neza and Leizhenzi of Huaxia mythology were two precise examples. Feng Lin typed out his answer and waited for the system to confirm it. Once the question poster confirmed, the star coins would be transformed automatically to his account. After that, Feng Lin swiped through the database and began answering questions effortlessly. With every answer, he would earn a certain amount of star coins. But this wasn't the thing he cared about the most. During his answering of questions, he was also profiting as well. These questions were tough questions that various cultivators would face during their cultivation process. It involved the innate foundation of cultivation. Through answering their questions, it stimulated Feng Lin's thoughts toward cultivation, and he gradually understood that every single myth and legend were the essence of a path to godhood. These mythological and legendary characters were all supreme characters who stood at the peak, far above ordinary mortals during the mythological civilization. Their stories were recorded down in the form of myths and legends. Each story was an epic saga that surged forth with momentum, recording the process of their growth until they became gods. No one could prove that these Tao paths were correct. After all, these legendary characters were all akin to gods. It wasn't wrong to say that their path of growing up was the path leading to godhood. For people who came after them, as long as they followed these ancient mythological Tao paths strictly, they would be able to become transcendent through a step-by-step process. In the end, they would also evolve into a god or a saint that was omnipotent. As he grew more familiar with this, Feng Lin's answering speed sped up. He was also gaining insights into cultivation when he was answering the questions, and all his previous doubts about his own cultivation were swept clean. Right now, in an unknown location, there was a planet that was 100 times larger than Earth floating in the dark starry skies. A small-scaled satellite revolved around the planet. On the satellite, many luxurious-looking flying shuttles were being parked there. The interior of the satellite was emptied and reconstructed into a majestic palace. In there was a huge fatty resembling a pig. He was lying down on a bed and unable to sit up. A group of serving girls dressed in gorgeous clothes waited for him at the side. The fatty opened his mouth and consumed a huge amount of food with every bite. His fatty flesh undulated whenever he moved, like the roiling waves of an ocean. He had a face filled with rage. Zhu Tiangang is truly being treated unfairly. I was born into an illustrious clan. What cultivation resources do I lack for? Yet, the gene I have awakened is this obese gene, and I have no talent in other genes at all. The heavens must be blind. Why did they give me such a good background yet they refuse to grant me high amounts of talent? Not only so, why did they make me become trash by awakening this shitty obese gene? Trash characters have long fallen out of popularity in novels of the ancient era. The fatty cursed loudly, showing no respect for the heavens at all. All of a sudden, a notification sound could be heard. Ding! One of the serving girls then passed his microchip over to him. The fatty turned his head and glanced at the projection from the microchip. With a single glance, his eyes suddenly widened in surprise. What? Obese gene, binge-eating gene, and the pigskin gene can be combined and evolved into a mid-grade primeval gene? If this is true, wouldn't that mean that I can start to cultivate? Quick, quick, quick! Immediately contact this Hongjun for me. As long as I can become an interstellar cultivator, I will agree to all his conditions. One must know that I, Zhu Tiangang, other than being fat, all I have is star coins. No matter how much star coins he quotes for the full information, I will be able to pay. The fatty's shout rang through the air, creating echoes that continued reverberating for a long time. Chapter 165, Wealthy Aura Rising to the Sky. Ding, ding, ding. On the second morning, the notification sounds of Fong Lin's microchip rang out, startling him awake. Who? Fong Lin opened his eyes, feeling somewhat helpless. Being awakened in the morning like this made him extremely unhappy. He activated his microchip and saw a projection of a figure with large head and big ears staring right back at him, causing him to feel a great shock. What the hell? Fong Lin leaped up. That figure resembling a giant pig started to speak. Are you Master Hongjun? I'm Zhu Tiangang. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. No, I'm the poster in the Mythological forum and my ID is Fatty with a cultivation dream. You said that if the obese gene, binge-eating gene, and pigskin gene combine, they can be evolved into the big belly gene? I'm truly filled with gratitude that you are helping me to achieve my dreams. The reward money has already been sent to your account, Master Hongjun. This time, I wish to purchase the full genetic evolution formula. He continued speaking words of gratitude and respect. Do pigs know how to speak? Fong Lin had just woken up, thus, he still felt somewhat in a daze. In his vision, a giant egg was bobbing agitatedly about. After he returned to his senses and took a closer look, he discovered that this was not a pig. It was a human. This human with a pig-like face was speaking continuously, and his two large ears wobbled about. How obese was this man? For a moment, Fong Lin was truly shocked. But after he paid attention, he calmed himself down. So this Fatty was the poster with the ID Fatty with a cultivation dream? Fong Lin activated his ID microchip and discovered that 10,000 star coins had indeed been transferred into his account. This amount of money was pretty huge, but this poster had directly sent it without confirming the truth with him. It seemed like this Fatty was an extremely wealthy money lord. As the saying goes, seeing a spot on the leopard's skin is equal to seeing the entire leopard. Seeing the head of somebody is equivalent to seeing the person completely. Although the projection only showed the huge face of this Fatty, Fong Lin could very well imagine the size he had ballooned into. His weight was only 500 kilograms? It should be almost 1,000 kilograms already, right? Did he eat too much after he posted the question and gained more weight since then? Being so obese to such an extent could be considered a talent too. It was truly impossible for ordinary people to achieve this. Fong Lin was speechless. Also, this Fatty referred to himself as Zhu Tiangang earlier. Was that his real name? Fong Lin had a look of contemplation on his face after he heard that this man wanted to purchase the full evolutionary genetic formula. His heart couldn't help but stir. Although genetic formulas were valuable, to Fong Lin, the vast majority of them were useless. There was a limit to humans' energy. He could simply choose the path with the brightest future or a few paths with good prospects. By then, his own future would be boundless. This big belly gene was merely a mid-grade primeval gene that would cause one to be as fat as a pig. Other than a genius Fatty like this man, ordinary humans would never choose this cultivation path. Fong Lin naturally didn't have any regards or any use for this gene formula. If this useless genetic formula could be used to exchange for star coins, wouldn't it be great? But the prerequisite was that he had to see if this man was reliable. Fong Lin opened up the projection function on his microchip and started to converse with the Fatty. Naturally, he didn't reveal his true face. He used the virtual simulation to create the image of Tao ancestor Hongjun that radiated an air of celestiality and started to converse with the Fatty through the internet. Are you Master Hongjun? The Fatty glanced at Fong Lin and passionately asked. One had to say that this image of Hongjun, which Fong Lin had created, was extremely imposing and real. It had perfectly matched with the image of a respectable and powerful senior in the Fatty's heart. Fong Lin nodded, smiling but not commenting. He intentionally wanted to project an ethereal feeling of mystery, causing others to feel that it was not so easy to get close to him. To a stranger, such an image was of miraculous effect. It would cause others to easily be convinced by him. Master Hongjun, you are a geneticist, right? Feng Lin didn't even say anything, but the fatty already silently agreed that Feng Lin must be a mysterious and powerful geneticist. He excitedly continued, Master, the evolutionary path of the big belly gene is something I've never heard before. All the various geneticists I hired before are completely useless. They are unable to let me set my foot on the pathway of cultivation. If you can allow me to cultivate successfully, money isn't a problem. Fatty spoke with conviction and confidence. Feng Lin could sense how rich this fatty was from his tone. Feng Lin wasn't surprised at how eager the fatty seemed. The genes in a human's body were countless, like the stars in the sky. For any gene, if one wanted to combine it with other genes to create a new evolutionary genetic formula, there were millions of variations that might affect its success. Every new evolutionary genetic formula would typically have to be supported by a vast amount of scientific data for validation. Hence, it was so difficult to get a new genetic formula. This evolutionary genetic formula of the big belly gene was like a stalk of life-saving grass to this fatty who had always been unable to cultivate. It was only to be expected that this fatty would be extremely eager. Even before Feng Lin made a reply, the fatty already continued speaking, increasing the payment as though he was afraid that Feng Lin might refuse. Master, if you are willing to tell me the correct evolutionary path of this genetic formula, I will give you 500,000 star coins. No, 1,000,000 star coins. How about it? This fatty truly didn't seem to care about the price paid. His wealthy aura was rising to the sky. Even Feng Lin was stunned by the amount. This was the interstellar era. Even land itself wasn't worth any money. The past tycoons and magnates in the ancient Earth era couldn't be compared at all. The truly wealthy people in the interstellar era all had planets among their fixed assets. These people were known as star magnates. By possessing a planet, even though that planet might be a barren planet filled with the aura of death, all the minerals and resources that could be excavated from there were still exceedingly valuable. And there was the fact that those peak-level star magnates would not only possess a single life planet. In fact, humans on the planet, the animals, the companies, all of those would be under their control. Just collecting tax alone would generate them astronomical wealth. And now, a star magnate character actually appeared before him? If Feng Lin didn't take advantage of this and give him a good fleecing, who would he fleece? Sure. Feng Lin didn't hesitate and straightforwardly agreed. This was just the evolutionary genetic formula for a mid-grade primeval gene, and he had no regard for it. There were no best genes, there were only the most suitable genes. This big belly gene was extremely strange. Ordinary humans would never choose to cultivate it, and it wouldn't be worth a lot of money. He would only be able to sell this for a sky-high price if he encountered someone like this fatty. He didn't want to miss this opportunity. It wouldn't come knocking on his door again. I do indeed have the complete evolutionary genetic formula. If you want, I can sell it to you. Feng Lin didn't beat around the bush. If you can trust me, transfer half of the price to me first and I will divulge the genetic formula to you. The remaining money can be paid to me after that. Feng Lin spoke calmly. He wasn't afraid that this person would go back on his word. 500,000 star coins were considered a lot as well. Even if this fatty regretted it later on, Feng Lin wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Ding, ding. 500,000 star coins were just transferred to your account. Even before Feng Lin could finish his sentence, a notification already rang out from his microchip. The money has already been sent. Tell me the genetic formula now. The fatty's eyes gleamed with a bright light. Feng Lin was completely speechless. After that, he sent the information regarding the evolutionary genetic formula of the big belly gene over to the fatty. Ding, ding. Another 500,000 star coins received. A mid-grade primeval gene's genetic formula actually netted him 1,000,000 star coins. After that, there was no news from the fatty. Clearly, the fatty must be impatiently checking the genetic formula out. Feng Lin was stunned by the wealthy aura of this fatty. What identity did this fatty have exactly? 1,000,000 star coins felt like mere pocket change to the fatty and were paid to him just like that. He truly couldn't imagine the thoughts of those who were truly rich. In the interstellar era, the resources of the universe could be considered limitless. It was simply unimaginable how much wealth some of those star magnates possessed. Feng Lin felt that his horizons were too shallow, and he silently mocked himself for being startled too easily. He shook his head and continued browsing through the forum to answer more questions. He merely used some time to answer the questions. To think that he would so easily earn 1,000,000 star coins. Next, he would still have to work hard and gain more fame so he could become a mythology great V as soon as possible. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. In an unknown location, in the depths of interstellar space, a burst of loud laughter rang out, reverberating throughout the small planet. Ha ha ha. I, Zhu Tiangang, have finally become an interstellar cultivator. Chapter 166, Zhu Beiji, Pigsy, Path to Godhood. What, you became an interstellar cultivator already? When Feng Lin received another message from the fatty, there was a blank look in his eyes. Obese gene X8 plus binge eating gene X10 plus pigskin gene X6 equals big belly gene. The 3 basic tier genes weren't of high grades, and they were all considered low-grade basic genes. Therefore, it would be tough for ordinary humans even if they merely wanted to strengthen them to 3 points or more. However, this fatty managed to do it in a single day. He took only 1 day to become an interstellar cultivator. How fast was this speed when compared to Feng Lin? When humans compared themselves to other humans, they would surely be angered to death. Feng Lin had the assistance from his genetic equation ability and was able to swiftly strengthen his genes. But even so, he had to experience the internal clan's conflict, the warfare on Mars, the dangers in the giant pharmaceutical company before he became an interstellar cultivator. His path was filled with thorns. Yet, this fatty succeeded in a single day. How much talent did this fatty have in the aspect of being fat? Feng Lin was speechless. When had it been so easy to become an interstellar cultivator? No, it was useless if one just had talent. They also needed vast amounts of cultivation resources as support before they could achieve this miracle of becoming an interstellar cultivator within a single day. Even so, this fatty definitely had an extraordinary future on his cultivation path of the obese gene. His talent was unprecedented, and it would be tough for anyone to ever match it. Given how vast interstellar space was, there truly was no lack of wonders. Feng Lin reminded himself that he absolutely could not underestimate anyone. He might have his own miraculous encounters, but others might be the same as well. Some geniuses were just waiting for an opportunity. Once that opportunity arrived, they would fly up to the sky in a single leap. Although Feng Lin was shocked, in order to preserve that mysterious feel, he calmly nodded in response. Upon seeing how calm he was, Fatty's joy slowly subsided. He silently mused, a master is truly a master. I thought I could shock him by becoming an interstellar cultivator in just 1 day. I didn't expect him to be so calm. Most probably, he has seen countless cultivation geniuses before. I cannot be considered anything in his eyes. The image he had of Feng Lin began to elevate again in his heart, becoming a reclusive expert that stood at the peak of interstellar space. However, he had no idea that this Master Hongjuan's heart was currently trembling from shock. Before this, the fatty was trash. Right now, he became an interstellar cultivator in the span of a single day. The fatty was unable to hold back the resentment in his heart. Master, you don't understand. I was born in an illustrious aristocrat clan and is of direct descent, the son of the clan leader. However, I couldn't cultivate and others called me trash. I suffered endless mockery. At the start, I've already accepted this in my heart. I felt that I was like the trash-like characters in the novels of the ancient Earth era. By enduring, accumulating knowledge, and building up my foundation, I thought I could shoot up to the skies with a single leap in the future. However, as time passed by, I discovered that other than being fat and having money, I completely had none of the fortunes that favors those novels' main characters. I have a powerful background, yet I didn't have any talent in cultivation. 100 years later, I thought I would only be buried into a hole in the ground, and it's useless no matter how much money I have. I also have no wish to undergo genetic engineering and become a monster with a strange appearance. But who would have imagined that I, Zhu Tiangang, have really become an official interstellar cultivator? Ha ha ha. It felt like there were so many negative feelings in his heart due to all the humiliation and mockery he suffered. Right now, the fatty was venting his emotions out as he laughed uproariously. Feng Lin quietly listened. He could completely understand this fatty's emotion. However, he wasn't simply listening. He had another intention. Dragons wouldn't mingle with snakes. Although this fatty had an ugly appearance, it was true that his talent was extraordinary, and he was also from an illustrious aristocrat clan. He had great potential. Although he was deemed as trash by others in the past, after he obtained the cultivation pathway, he only used a single day to become an interstellar cultivator. The 4 precepts of cultivation. Wealth, companion, earth, law. This fatty only lacked law. Once he managed to obtain law, he would instantly soar up to the heavens and have a boundless future. For Feng Lin, things were the opposite. He lacked wealth, companion, and earth. However, because of his mythological knowledge and genetic equation, the thing he didn't lack most was law. Adding embroidery on a perfect brocade, how could it be compared to someone sending hot coals to a person in need in winter? This fatty was a money lord and had enough value to be roped in by Feng Lin. Feng Lin's heart stirred. He wanted to see if he could form a friendship with this fatty or even make him into his subordinate. That might really happen in the future. Upon seeing the calmness in the face of Dao ancestor Hongjun, this fatty couldn't help but feel impressed secretly in his heart. As expected of a mysterious geneticist. It seems that this master is truly unmoved by favor or disgrace. He is capable of remaining indifferent in the face of everything. Yet, he had no idea that this master before him had malicious intentions toward him. He. Master, I've already become an interstellar cultivator. I wish to know how I should proceed on my future cultivation path. I wonder if you can continue to guide me. I want more evolutionary genetic formulas. As long as this can be settled by star coins, the amount you want isn't a problem. If 10 million star coins are not enough, let it be 20 million star coins then. After becoming an interstellar cultivator, that fatty couldn't control his impatience and wanted to continue to break through. The wealthy aura from him was rising so high now that it almost broke the dome of the heavens. He was simply trying to smash Feng Lin with star coins. No matter how calm Feng Lin was, he couldn't help but pant as he opened his mouth, preparing to accept. However, his rationale told him to calm down. After thinking about it a little, he felt that something wasn't right. His image was that of the Dao ancestor Hongjun. he naturally had to give off a sense of etherealism as a lofty individual that stood above everyone else. How could he show no restraint? If he gave in now, wouldn't his image collapse and attract doubts? That would be extremely detrimental to his future plans. After whetting the fatty's appetite, he might even gain a more wondrous reaction if he showed restraint now. Having what the fatty desired in his hands, Feng Lin felt no worry at all. This fatty could do what he wanted to, but he wouldn't be able to swim out of his palm. There's no hurry about this. Feng Lin shook his head lightly as a mysterious smile appeared on his face. It was like his heart wasn't moved by the astronomical price the fatty stated. His projection started to fade away, on the verge of going offline. Master Hongjun, don't do this to me. I have money, I have plenty of money. As long as you tell me the following genetic formulas, I'm willing to pay you as much star coins as you want. If 20 million is not enough, how about 50 million? If not, how about 100 million? Fatty hurriedly called out. However, Feng Lin's projection already vanished. He had already gone offline. It was useless no matter how loudly the fatty continued to shout. The moment Feng Lin went offline, he clutched his chest with his hands, feeling pain in his heart. Damn it. In order to appear mysterious, he actually gave up on such a chance to make good money. How extravagant was that fatty? Was it very impressive that he had money? So what even if that fatty gave him 1 billion or 10 billion in the future? That fatty shouldn't expect him to cave in, right? And it was truly very awesome to be wealthy. In truth, Feng Lin wanted to have a transaction with the fatty very much. After all, that was an offer of 100 million star coins. Who didn't want to earn it? However, he had already run out of genetic potential and temporarily wasn't able to deduce new genetic formulas. Feng Lin decided not to browse the mythological forum any longer and focused on cultivation instead. He gulped down bottles of potions of life and spent a total of 2 days in cultivation. Other than his daily needs of eating and relieving himself, he spent all his time on cultivation. Genetic potential plus 45%, plus 46%, plus 48%, all the way until 518%. Feng Lin wasn't in a hurry to add points to his strengthening tally. He used his genetic potential to deduce the genetic formula for that fatty instead. He wasn't in that much of a hurry to strengthen his genes. Now, the target of 100 million star coins was right before his eyes. No matter what he tried, he wasn't able to remain calm. Very swiftly, after 182% of genetic potential was consumed, a brand new genetic formula appeared. Big Belly Gene X8 plus Demonic Aura Gene X10 plus Pig Fetus Gene X9 equals Pig Demon Gene. Gene, Pig Demon Gene. Grade, High Grade Transcendent Gene. Strengthening Tally, 0. Ability, Pig Demon in human form, boundless strength, endless capacity in the big belly, capable of devouring the heavens and earth. Pig Demon Gene? Feng Lin didn't expect that the Big Belly gene could evolve into such a gene. From a mid-grade primeval gene, it could be evolved into a high-grade transcendent gene. Not only did the tier improve, but the quality of the grade also improved as well. What made Feng Lin taken aback was that this was also a singular pathway of evolution. This was the same as his son Wukong's mythological path. Could it be that the Pig Demon gene can further evolve into? A wondrous premonition appeared in Feng Lin's heart. He felt that if this Pig Demon gene was to continue evolving, the result might end up having a very close connection with him. He didn't hesitate and continued to use his genetic equation to deduce the future evolutionary pathway. This time around, a total of 316% of genetic potential was consumed and the evolutionary genetic formula for the Pig Demon gene finally appeared. Pig Demon Gene X10 plus heavenly dipper gene x8 plus banished immortal gene x6 equals Zhu Ganglai gene. This is Zhu Beiji's Pigsy, Mythological Pathway to Godhood. Chapter 167, Convinced. Zhu Ganglai gene. Upon seeing this brand new genetic formula, Feng Lin's earlier conjecture was completely validated. Wasn't Zhu Ganglai the name of Zhu Beiji, Pigsy, before he took on Tripitaka as a master? Zhu Beiji was the reincarnation of martial heavenly canopy of the heavenly courts. He controlled over 100,000 heavenly soldiers and could be considered a major god in the three realms. It was because of his dalliance with Chang'er, the goddess of the moon, that he was punished to be reborn as a pig. But even so, Zhu Beiji slowly began to train as a demon. He was proficient in the Heavenly Dipper 36 transformations and was skilled in using a 9-tooth rake as his weapon. He was only inferior to the great sage, equal to heavens. In the beginning, Feng Lin also didn't expect this fatty who was mocked by so many people to actually have such immense potential. After all, if he could smoothly continue on Pigsy's path to godhood, in addition to having an illustrious clan to be his backing, this fatty's future would surely be boundlessly bright. Upon thinking of this, Feng Lin's heart involuntarily stirred. The great sage equal to heavens was a monkey, while Pigsy was a pig. A monkey and pig grouping up, how comical was this? Could it be that in the future, their group would be expanded to include Tripitaka and 2 others? Feng Lin felt like recruiting this fatty to his side more and more. Just this fatty's background alone was already worth it for Feng Lin to expend his efforts to try and recruit him. Leaving aside the fatty's potential, if this fatty became a member of the Mythological Genes Association, he could instantly increase its foundation. By borrowing the power of the fatty's background, Feng Lin would be able to cause the Mythological Genes Association to spread its influence through interstellar space more easily. Although this was a good idea, how should he accomplish this? It was worth thinking about it. Firstly, as Lord Hongjun of the Mythological Genes Association, he mustn't appear too impatient when he recruited people. If he overdid things, there might be a contrary effect from the one he wanted and some of his lies might be exposed. In any case, if one obtained some things too easily, they would never cherish it. Hence, it was best if Feng Lin could make the fatty voluntarily wish to join the association. After that, he would make sure the fatty underwent many difficult tests to let him know it wasn't so easy to join it. Feng Lin's thoughts spun rapidly in his mind as an idea formed. He activated his microchip and entered the mythological forum. The projection of Zhu Tiangang, the fatty, instantly appeared. Feng Lin, who was in the form of Hongjun, also glanced over. Master Hongjun, I sincerely wish to purchase the successive evolutionary genetic formula for the Big Belly gene. We can discuss this slowly as star coins are nothing to me. If you don't want star coins, I can use other valuable cultivation resources to exchange for the knowledge. How about a planet's core? A vacuum crystal? Negentropy water? You can have anything you want. After Feng Lin ignored him for 2 days, Fatty's heart was already numb. He hurriedly stated his request alongside with how much he was willing to pay. To him, these cultivation resources might be valuable. But if he couldn't cultivate, wouldn't all these be completely useless? As long as he could continue to cultivate, given his methods and background, it wasn't a difficult thing for him to obtain new cultivation resources. The only thing difficult was to get the genetic pathway for the successive evolutionary genes. It wasn't easy for him to become a cultivator. How would he not be reluctant to have his progress halted here? If he wished to continue cultivating, Feng Lin would be like the last blade of life-saving grass to him. He was willing to pay any price. Truly, this fatty was filthy rich. Every cultivation item listed by the fatty would cause Feng Lin's heart to pound violently. These were incomparably precious cultivation resources. One wouldn't even be able to buy them if they had star coins. But in order to maintain Tao ancestor Hongjuan's ethereal aura, Feng Lin's expression remained calm as he gave a profound laugh. He then spoke in a manner that was neither slow nor quick. I do know the future genetic pathway for your genes. I can even tell you that if you continue down this path, your future would be boundlessly bright. This was definitely a mythological pathway that would lead you to be a paragon of God or devil. You would become a unique entity with a boundless future. Paragon of God or devil. Fatty was extremely joyful as he called out in excitement. Because he was insulted by many calling him trash for too long, he had lost all confidence in himself. Initially, he only wanted to be able to cultivate. He didn't expect that the path he was currently walking on would be so awesome. This big belly gene was just a mere mid-grade primeval gene. It wasn't that powerful, but he didn't really mind it. At that time, just by depending on his background as well as an influx of support from unending cultivation resources, even if he was on the most ordinary mythological path, he would still be able to display his potential to the absolute limits as he continued to walk further. But now that he suddenly knew the path he was on was actually of a paragon god or devil's mythological pathway, he was dumbfounded. It was like a person who went digging for gold found out that an entire mountain of gold had appeared before his eyes. Happiness came too suddenly, and his heart couldn't take it. Fatty panted heavily. The rolls of fat on his belly started to undulate like waves of the ocean. However, he was only happy for a short while before Feng Lin's next sentence completely woke him up. Feng Lin's words were like a bowl of cold water raining down on his head. How can the true Tao be transmitted casually? This paragon mythological path isn't something that can be measured by money. I cannot impart the knowledge to you. Feng Lin spoke in a profound manner. He continued to act extremely carefree while he felt as though he was bleeding in his heart. That was 100 million star coins. Then what can I do so you would be willing to transmit the information to me? The fatty was extremely anxious. How can I transmit the Tao to someone who is not fated? If you wish to know the complete mythological Tao path, you have to prove your ability and become someone fated with me, joining the Mythological Gene Association. Feng Lin revealed his killer technique as he continued to act mysterious. He wouldn't rest until this fatty was convinced. The fatty started to hesitate. Mythological Gene Association? Which hidden power was this? Could it be some evil cults that were hiding in interstellar space? Although he was rich, he wasn't a fool. As he was born into an illustrious clan, even if he was trash that couldn't cultivate, he was sure to have received the best education, and his astuteness would surely far surpass ordinary people. Now that someone suddenly asked him to join a mysterious organization, how could he not feel that something was wrong? Hence, the fatty was hesitating now. Feng Lin didn't worry at all. He had the thing the fatty wanted the most. He wasn't afraid that the fatty would disagree. Since you have no intentions to join, this means that you are not a fated person. Let's forget everything. Feng Lin calmly spoke. He pretended that he was about to go offline, loosening the reins only to grasp them better. As expected, the fatty instantly panicked when he heard that. But this was the only chance for him to gain the successive genetic formulas. How could he miss this opportunity? Master Hongjun, at the very least you have to tell me the general situation of this mythological gene association, right? What should I do before I can join? Fatty helplessly spoke. The fatty flesh on his face was scrunched together, and his large flabby ears dangled downward. A worried expression could be seen on his face. Feng Lin instantly knew what he was thinking with a single glance. He calmly continued, "Don't worry, our Mythological Genes Association isn't an evil cult. It's just a cultivation group where members would provide mutual help to each other. It is stationed in the virtual universe, and the members are all extremely powerful cultivators. For some more obscure knowledge, they would only be circulated within the Mythological Genes Association. So this is the case? The fatty heaved a sigh of relief after he heard that. It didn't seem to be too bad. It was good as long as it was not an evil cult. Also, this was an organization stationed in the virtual universe. There was no need to use one's real identity. This was really easy to handle. Fine, I will join. The fatty decided and promised. However, how could Feng Lin easily agree now? We have our own rules in the Mythological Genes Association and wouldn't recruit people casually. If you wish to join, you have to undergo many tests and trials. Are you sure you will be able to do so? The more Feng Lin said it like this, the keener the fatty was. The rules were so harsh. This organization must be an extremely secretive one with very deep foundations. If he could join it, there would surely be endless benefits for him. Master Hong Jun, I've already decided. Please tell me how to join. I can accept any tests. Fatty spoke with a voice that could sever iron. Settled. Feng Lin had a smile on his face, knowing that this fatty had been completely convinced by him. However, what the test would be exactly, Feng Lin naturally wouldn't divulge it. If not, wouldn't things be too easy? If the fatty didn't undergo a test filled with immense difficulty, how would he cherish the chance to join the Mythological Genes Association? Give me your virtual ID. Feng Lin smiled instead of answering the fatty's question. Fatty was startled for a moment, but soon transmitted his virtual ID to Feng Lin obediently. After you enter the virtual universe, I will transmit you a strand of grand mist white qi. At that time, you can use it to enter the Mythological Genes Association for 1 day and gain the opportunity to take the test. Only by passing the test would you be considered an official member of the association. Feng Lin disappeared right after speaking, going offline with no hesitation. Fatty was startled by the sudden departure. He stood at his original ground and called out in shock, "AI, Master Hong Jun, don't leave." Chapter 168, Monkey and Pig. Ignoring the pleas by the fatty that asked him to stay, Feng Lin shut off his microchip. He went offline and walked out of his room. Right now, their family was staying in a luxurious house in the Feng clan's grand building. There was everything here and the space was very vast, extremely comfortable. There was even a room used for virtual activities. The most advanced virtual cabin on Earth was installed here. Feng Lin laid there, connecting his consciousness to it as data streams flowed like a waterfall before his eyes. At the next moment, his consciousness had entered the virtual universe, at the location where he last went offline. The virtual Minor Thousand World, in the Purple Cloud Palace of the Mythology planet. Feng Lin opened up the interface and inputted the fatty's ID, Martial Heavenly Dipper, while his heart was filled with unspoken criticism. You actually gave yourself such a virtual ID, no wonder you are on Pigsy mythological path. This name was just a character short from Martial Heavenly Canopy. Pigsy's title in the Chinese legends before he was reincarnated as Zhu Beiji. This seemed to be a coincidence, yet it felt like everything was predestined. Pigsy was an expert that was proficient in the 36 transformations of the Heavenly Dipper. The real name of this fatty was just so coincidentally named Zhu Tiangang, with Zhu as the surname and Tiangang representing the words Heavenly Dipper. Feng Lin stared at his interface and noticed that the fatty was already online. Clearly, he was afraid Feng Lin wouldn't contact him and was already waiting here for quite some time. Feng Lin laughed. With a wave of his hand, a strand of grand mist white qi swirled in his palm and was mailed out like an email. He included a message. This item is a token that allows someone to enter the Mythological Genes Association. Grand mist white qi, the effective duration for this is 1 day. Ding. 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 The fatty instantly replied, his words filled with gratitude. Many thanks, Master Hongjun. I will rush there as soon as possible. Fatty was extremely anxious and filled with impatience. As long as one knew the coordinates of their targeted location, they could instantly travel there in a blink of an eye despite the distance. Very soon, Feng Lin could sense that the fatty was already outside the mythology planet. He wanted to enter, but he was blocked by the minor thousand-world barrier and had no way to get inside. Feng Lin's appearance transformed to his original look, and he generated a clone with the appearance of Tao ancestor Hongjun as well. This planet was a virtual world created by Feng Lin, and he naturally possessed boundless authority here. As the creator of this world, he seemed to be able to do anything. It wasn't anything difficult to generate a clone. As the master of the Mythological Genes Association, Tao ancestor Hongjun had to maintain his sense of mysteriousness and etherealism. Feng Lin himself transformed into a member of the Mythological Genes Association, and he would be able to communicate normally with the fatty and undergo all sorts of transactions. There was no need for any wariness, and he could even still maintain his clone's appearance as Tao ancestor Hongjun, a figure the fatty respected very much. There were many benefits, hence, he decided to go with this plan for now. Master Hongjun, please let me enter, Fatty impatiently called from outside the planet. Feng Lin smiled. The cloudy atmosphere covering the planet opened up. You are. Upon seeing Feng Lin's true face, the fatty was shocked. He didn't know who Feng Lin was at all. I'm Wukong, a member of the Mythological Genes Association. Tao ancestor Hongjun asked me to come here to welcome you. Feng Lin smiled. He glanced at the fatty as his eyes gleamed with a bright light. The entire body of this fatty was covered with sentient metal armor. He even had a 3-meter-tall scepter in his hand. His entire person shone with the light from his treasures, gleamingly golden. By looking at him, Feng Lin felt that he was the embodiment of a single word. Wealth. So wealthy that it felt extremely filthy. He had the scepter of Rakuto Sannin from Naruto World, Iron Man's armor, the magic ring of Lord of the Ring. Every equipment of his was a peak level 1 with extraordinary origins. If these pieces of equipment were to be exchanged for star coins, it would be at the very least several tens of millions. Although the virtual universe was like a second life to humans, only a rare minority would truly spend so much money here to obtain these valuable virtual items. This made one point very clear. This fatty was wealthy, he was immensely wealthy. He was so wealthy that he didn't even blink when spending huge amounts of star coins. At this moment, everything the fatty was wearing was simply made from the shiny and golden star coins. Wukong? Fatty felt somewhat puzzled in his heart. He instinctively felt that these two simple words seemed to contain some deep profound meaning, yet it was extremely tough to state exactly what the profound meaning was. You don't know me, but I know you. Seeing the look of bewilderment on Fatty's face, Feng Lin laughed silently in his heart. You are walking on Pigsy's path to godhood while I'm walking on Sun Wukong's path to godhood. In the future, after you joined the Mythological Genes Association, we would be a monkey and pig in a group. We really have to cooperate well. All these thoughts were in his mind. Feng Lin didn't reveal anything. Come with me. He calmly spoke. The cloud layers on Mythology Planet suddenly pulled open, revealing a flight of cloudy stairs that extended into the distance. Fatty didn't mind. As a star magnate, he also had his own territory in the virtual universe. This was a common occurrence to him, nothing to be surprised about. What made him surprised was that this little virtual world was named as the Mythology Planet. This point would truly cause people to ponder. Fatty lowered his head and stared at the many buildings on this azure blue planet. The styles of the buildings here were completely different from each other. There were the elegant and richly ornament-styled buildings of Chinese mythology, Gothic-styled constructions of the West, golden pyramids of Egypt. From this, Fatty could see traces of all the mythologies from different civilizations. As someone from an illustrious clan, the Fatty naturally had very good judgment. He discovered that the style of the buildings completely matched with that mythological knowledge that was uncovered from the ancient ruins. The styles and designs were extremely accurate. Could this planet be showing the scene of the world back then, in the ancient Earth era? How was this achieved? The gaps in mythological knowledge were too large, and many inheritances had long since severed. How did this mythological genes association obtain such valuable knowledge whereby they could replicate it so accurately? Fatty started to pant with excitement. How deep was the foundations of this secret power, the mythological genes association? Could it be that they had knowledge of the divine systems of various civilizations as well as the path to godhood for the various mystical and legendary figures? Fatty felt like he stumbled upon a huge truth. If he could join this mythological genes association, he would truly have profited. For such a secret and reclusive power, ordinary humans would never have the chance to learn about it. Yet, he actually managed to stumble upon this? Ha ha ha. Zhu Tiangang has been unlucky for 25 years. My luck is about to finally change. Becoming an interstellar cultivator and even having an opportunity to join this mysterious power, obtaining a paragon's mythological path, this damnable heavens finally showed its appreciation for me, old Zhu. Upon seeing the look of wild joy on his face, Feng Lin silently laughed in his heart. On Mythology Planet, the scenes here were filled with the secrets from the ancient Earth era. Those who knew their stuff would instantly be shocked by what they saw. The more this was so, the more stringent the association would be when it came to accepting new members. If not, the information here might be probed and exposed. Ever since he established the Mythological Genes Association, Feng Lin had already thought of everything. He would only accept absolute elites. He would rather kill 1,000 innocents, denying them entry, rather than to allow someone mediocre to enter. As the clouds dispersed even more, Fatty's eyes were wide opened. In the space above the atmosphere, chaos erupted as an ancient purple-colored Tao palace manifested into being. It was covered by auspicious clouds and radiated a feeling of majesticness and prosperity. Above the Tao palace, a huge board was suspended. 3 words in ancient Huaxia style could be seen written on it. Purple Cloud Palace. It looked simple and unadorned, and there was an old man radiating an air of immortality seated on a praying mat on a platform in the palace. If this old man wasn't Tao ancestor Hongjun, who else could it be? Sit. Hongjun's eyes were still closed as he calmly spoke. After Fatty entered, he fell onto his knees on a praying mat and prostrated himself sincerely. Tao ancestor Hongjun, please impart me the knowledge of my paragon god and devil mythological path. Chapter 169, Hongjun transmitting the Tao. Zhu Tiangang. Tao ancestor Hongjun sat on the praying mat. He slowly opened his eyes and spoke Fatty's full name. Fatty sat upright and listened with attention. Tao ancestor Hongjun slowly spoke. Although before this you were mocked by countless people as trash, in truth, your talent in cultivation is extremely outstanding. Ordinary mythological paths are not suited to you. This is why you remained an ordinary human for so many years. Once you embarked on the right path, you would be able to soar into the sky with a single step. Your future and potential shall be boundless. Fatty had a look of contemplation on his face. He understood that the boundless future Tao ancestor Hongjun was speaking about was that of paragon god and devil that was suitable for him. He grew even more serious and nodded. At this moment, Tao ancestor Hongjun's tone suddenly changed. He then continued, however, how can someone receive knowledge about the great Tao for no cause or reason? Given how incomparably valuable knowledge of a paragon god and devil's mythological path is, its price is incomparably astronomical as well. Have you thought things through clearly? Tao ancestor, I understand. As long as I can embark on this paragon god and devil's mythological path, I am willing to pay any price. Fatty spoke with no hesitation. Seeing how excited the fatty was, Fenglin silently smiled in his heart. As for the clone, Tao ancestor Hongjun, his expression remained as calm as ever, exuding an aura of profoundness. He calmly continued, since you can understand this, very well, I shall transmit to you the knowledge of a paragon god and devil's path. Listen well. The kindness of someone transmitting the Tao to you wasn't in any way inferior, compared to the kindness of your parents giving birth to you. Fatty's expression turned serious. Zhu Tiangang respectfully listens. Now, what you've awakened is a mid-grade primeval gene, the big belly gene. Also, the special ability of the big belly gene is that it allows you to devour everything and would rapidly enable you to digest them to strengthen yourself. Your skin will be extremely tough. The thick layers of fat can form a natural defensive layer to dissipate large amounts of blunt force. Next, what you have to do is to combine the big belly gene with the demonic aura gene and pig fetus gene to evolve to the pig demon gene. What? Pig demon gene? Fatty shouted in shock. The flesh of his face scrunched together, even his eyes disappeared as a look of difficulty appeared on his face. Where was the promised paragon god and devil's path? Why did it become the pig demon gene? This name didn't sound like a paragon at all. It didn't sound like a mythical legendary being at all. Upon awakening such a gene, wouldn't he become a monster that looked like half pig and half human? Although Fatty was often called a pig due to his size and fatness, he didn't really want to become a real pig. Tao ancestor Hongjuan's expression turned solemn. Why? You look down on this gene? Fatty had a struggling expression. He postured like a little girl with his body that was over 1,000 kilograms in weight. Truly, the sight of this was extremely eye-piercing and disgusting indeed. I thought it was supposed to be a paragon god and devil's mythological path. Why did it become a pig demon? Fatty had no way to accept this. Greed would always be present in the hearts of humans. Before this, when Fatty didn't know if he could become a cultivator, he could even accept the most common big belly gene and was filled with wild joy by using it to become an interstellar cultivator. Now, after he learned about the existence of paragon god and devil's pathways, he naturally yearned for them. The more things one obtained, the more he would fear losing everything. Now that there was a paragon god and devil's path before his eyes, he was afraid he might truly miss it. Tao ancestor Hongjun slowly continued, don't belittle this pig demon gene. This is a high-grade transcendent gene, and can be extremely rare among genes of the same tier and grade. Also, as a human that can transform into a pig demon, you would have boundless strength, endless capacity in your belly and capable of devouring the heaven and earth. You would also be able to control high-quality demonic chi from the universe, manifesting gusts of black winds, flying up into the sky and tunneling in the ground. You would be able to do anything. Ordinary people would never be able to awaken such a gene. This is something one could only hope for but couldn't actively seek after. If you are not willing to, just forget about everything then. Don't. Fatty hurriedly spoke, feeling extremely anxious. Tao ancestor, I was wrong. I'm willing to evolve my genes into this demon pig gene. Seeing that the fatty was so scared that he submitted, Tao ancestor Hongjun had a faint smile on his face. There's no need for you to feel so miserable. If you continue to evolve the pig demon gene by adding the heavenly dipper gene and banished immortal gene, it would evolve into the Zhu Ganglai gene. Then you would officially step onto a paragon god and devil's mythological path. Zhu Ganglai Jin. Fatty's expression changed after he heard that. Why is it a pig, Zhu? Could it be that he had to really embark on this path of becoming a pig? A path of no return. Zhu Ganglai Jin is a heaven gene that is above the transcendent gene tier. It is also a variation grade heaven gene. It has boundless potential. Zhu Ganglai is a famous character in ancient Huaxia mythology. He was a great deity from the heavenly courts. Although he was reincarnated as a pig demon, he soon regained his memories and was proficient in the 36 transformations of the heavenly dipper. His combat prowess isn't weak at all when compared to the various gods and deities. Dao ancestor Hongjun revealed a little of Zhu Ganglai Jin's origins. Fatty had his mouth wide open. The resentment he felt at having to become a pig was now completely dissipated. Zhu Ganglai? What deity is this? Why have I never heard of him before? Dao ancestor Hongjun said that this was a powerful deity in Huaxia mythology which had reincarnated as a pig demon. However, Fatty had never heard any story like this before. When Fatty thought about the scenes of ancient Earth era that he had seen on the planet earlier, he had a look of deep contemplation on his face. My speculation was right. This mythological genes association is in possession of many mythology secrets of different civilizations that have long vanished. If Dao ancestor Hongjun wasn't lying, this Zhu Ganglai must be a deity from Huaxia mythology whose information hasn't been uncovered yet. Also, this should be a unique mythology path. Fatty started to get excited, and he felt that the association was even more wondrous. He discovered that he was very fated with this paragon god and devil path. His own name even had the words Tiangang, heavenly dipper. And if he continued on this mythology path, he would end up possessing the 36 transformations ability of the heavenly dipper. Everything seemed destined. When he thought of this, Fatty no longer hesitated. He tossed aside all his earlier reluctance and resentment. Even if he really had to become a pig, he would become one willingly. Dao ancestor Hongjun, I sincerely wish to cultivate this paragon god and devil path. Please enlighten me. Fatty prostrated himself once more and spoke with incomparable sincerity. As long as you grant me my wish, I will accomplish any test you want to set for me. I'm also willing to pay any price. Each of his words rang out with the force of his conviction. This Fatty felt more and more anxious. As for Dao ancestor Hongjun, it was clear that he was no longer going to divulge anything easily. Since Fenglin had what the Fatty desired the most in his hands, next, what he needed to do was to set up more tests and trials while making the Fatty invest a lot before he granted him a slot to join the Mythological Genes Association. If not, if the Fatty joined too easily, he wouldn't cherish it and wouldn't feel any sense of loyalty or belonging to the association. In order to prevent the secrets of the association from being leaked, Fenglin naturally had to be cautious. In addition, in Fenglin's eyes, this Fatty was a fat lamb waiting to be slaughtered. He was so rich that he had unending amounts of star coins to be spent. How could Fenglin give up the secrets of the mythological path to him if Fenglin didn't want to dip his hands into his wealth? But in order to maintain the majestic presence of Dao ancestor Hongjun, Hongjun naturally wasn't suited to talk about secular stuff like money. It would only undermine his presence. The Dao ancestor Hongjun's clone, which Fenglin controlled naturally, wouldn't do such a stupid thing. He merely smiled faintly. The complete set of knowledge of a paragon god and devil path isn't something you can receive just by paying a price. The prerequisite is to see if you are worthy enough or not. You have to undertake the tests and see if you can become an association's member before we talk further. Dao ancestor, I got it. Fatty didn't hesitate. No matter what tests there are, I, Zhu Tiangang, will definitely put in all my efforts to pass them. This fatty was so nice to deceive. Clone Hongjun exchanged glances with Feng Lin as they both shared a smile, knowing that this fatty had been completely deceived by the acts both of them put up. I have a Dao song to pass on to everyone. Dao ancestor Hongjun calmly smiled. His voice was filled with a sense of etherealism as though it drifted through countless distance. It was like the sound of a bell chime, so loud that even the dead could hear, baptizing the hearts of people. Laying high amidst the clouds, comprehending the true Tao, and assuming the role of a teacher beyond the universe, Pan Gu created Tai Chi with the existence of two dualities and the extension of the four phases. The one path of Tao was passed down to three, and the three split into two branches. All three were disciples of Hongjun, leading all in the path of Tao. Chapter 170, A Word Worth 1,000 Gold. Translator, Lord Bluefire. Editor, Lord Bluefire. The Tao song filled the air with a sense of spiritualism. The atmosphere was filled with an ethereal immortal sound which had drifted here from the boundless space, yet the words were extremely clear, containing the deep and profound meaning of the great Tao. Fatty immersed himself in, and had yet to recover from this state. The Tao song only consisted of a few sentences, and was roughly about 50 words. This seemed to be hinting that there was a total for 49 great Taos, with a final layer of mystery covering them all, giving representation to the number 50. This was the song of Tao verification by the Tao ancestor. Ordinary mortals would find it impossible to understand. It was just a mere 50 words, yet Fatty felt like his head was spinning. The concepts contained within the 50 words encompassed the vastness of the universe. He couldn't even trace anything. The message contained within was far too vast. Just the surface of those words was sufficient to make him sink into deep contemplation. All representing Hongjun, how vast was this concept? Could this Tao ancestor Hongjun not be some supreme expert living in seclusion from the world, but was a true supreme Tao ancestor from the Huaxia legends? This can't be correct, right? The mythology civilization was destroyed long ago. If the Tao ancestor that could split apart the heavens and earth in the legends still existed, humanity would have long since conquered the universe. How could they be dominated by those alien races and couldn't even leave the Milky Way galaxy? This was illogical. It seemed like this senior before his eyes must have been someone who walked on a paragon god and devil path, the mythological path of Tao ancestor Hongjun. Fatty came up with the most logical explanation he could think of. Tao ancestor gene? He panted as a fanatical expression appeared on his face. What sort of power was this mythological genes association exactly? How deep and vast were their stores of knowledge? They could even awaken the Tao ancestor gene? If news of this were to spread out, the entire interstellar space would probably be stunned. Fatty's heart pounded rapidly, soon to leap out of his chest. He shook his head, not daring to think so much. The more he thought about it, the more terrifying he found it. Right now, he only felt a sense of rejoice and agitation in his heart. How lucky was he? By a series of coincidences, he was actually given the chance to join such a prestigious association. Although he had not passed the tests yet, such an opportunity was something that countless people wouldn't be able to receive. After Tao ancestor Hongjun finished speaking, he closed his eyes and no longer spoke. Tao ancestor, what is the test? Fatty was at a loss, he was still waiting for the test to come. The test is within the Tao verification song. You need to comprehend it yourself. If you can comprehend it, it means you can. If you cannot, it simply means you cannot. Only by figuring out the true logic of the Tao verification song would you have passed the test and be considered as a fated member of the Mythological Genes Association. Tao ancestor Hongjun's words seemed to be covered by layers of immortal mist, not allowing anyone to see through any trace of his thoughts. In summary, There were only 4 words. You take a guess? Fatty frowned. He didn't even know the exact content, but the test required him to comprehend the true logic. Why was it so difficult? He furrowed his brows so tightly that even his eyes narrowed to splits. Time's up. It's time for you to leave. Tao Ancestor Hongjun slowly spoke and waved his hand. Tao Ancestor, please give me some hints. Fatty was shocked. He was prepared to say something more, but he felt his body being enveloped by a formless energy as he was transported away to outside the Purple Cloud's palace. The door of the mysterious Tao Palace closed and slowly faded away from his vision, once again covered by a layer of clouds. I still don't know what the entry test is. Fatty helplessly mumbled, and he could only sigh. Tao friend Zhu Tiangang, please leave. Tao Ancestor Hongjun asks me to send you off. At this moment, Feng Lin's real body appeared before Fatty and had an air of sending people away. No, I will not leave. I have to be clear on what the entry test is exactly. I will not be leaving today. Fatty's eyes swiveled around. He decided that he would refuse to leave no matter what. No matter how Feng Lin tried to make him leave, this Fatty wouldn't leave. A teasing look appeared in Feng Lin's eyes while helplessness was shown on his face. He had no choice then. He drew a deep breath. Why must you be so troublesome? Tao Ancestor Hongjun is unfathomable and extremely profound. There is a deep layer of meaning behind everything he is doing. If he doesn't want to tell you about it, he must have his own reasons for that. It's useless even if you remain here. In addition, the Tao Ancestor has clearly hinted at what the test is supposed to be. It's just you who still can't catch it. Boom. The clouds churned as thunder fell from the sky. Feng Lin had a look of panic on his face. He bowed to the sky. Tao Ancestor, please pardon me. Wukong shouldn't have revealed heavenly secrets. After that, he had a fearful look on his face as though he had just created a huge trouble by speaking things he shouldn't be speaking about. Feng Lin then closed his mouth, not willing to say another word. The endless clouds enveloped them and propped the 2 of them up, sending them away from this virtual minor thousand mythology planet. Tao friend Zhu Tiangang, leave quickly. I'm in dire straits now because of you. It's useless even if you continue to remain here. Feng Lin acted like he was angered by the Fatty and coldly issued an expulsion order. Fatty's eyes turned around rapidly. He no longer looked like a fat pig, but a cunning fox instead. He hurriedly pulled Feng Lin to the side and spoke in a mysterious tone of voice. Tao friend Wukong, seems like you know about the hidden meaning behind Tao Ancestor's hint. Can you reveal a little to me? Just a little will do. Staring at the sneaky look on his face, Feng Lin coldly laughed. As expected of a cultivator on Pig's mythological path. His heart was truly as scheming as the pig demon in the legends. As expected, you would awaken the mythology gene that reflected the sort of person you were. What a work of nature! But wasn't this something Feng Lin wanted? Even if your path was the Pig's mythology path and you are extremely cunning, you must know that my path is the mythology path of Sun Wukong. I can counter you in all aspects. Feng Lin pretended to be angered. Tao friend Zhu Tiangang, what do you mean by this? Earlier when I revealed some secrets, I already suffered the anger of Tao Ancestor Hongjun. If there isn't a sufficient price, don't even imagine I will reveal anything. It's impossible. Although Feng Lin said it was impossible, given how cunning this Fatty was, he instantly discerned the deeper meaning behind Feng Lin's words. It wasn't that Feng Lin wouldn't reveal any secrets, but it depended on whether he wanted to pay a price or not. Was Feng Lin trying to earn some money from him? A confident smile appeared on Fatty's face as his wealthy aura towered up to the sky. In this world, there was nothing that couldn't be settled by star coins. If 1,000 star coins couldn't work, a 100 million star coins would surely be effective. Dao friend Wukong, we have already left the area of the Mythological Genes Association's world. If you tell me now, nothing will happen to you. Dao ancestor Hong Jun wouldn't be able to sense anything. Fatty persuaded. Feng Lin coldly smiled and glanced at the fatty. You might not know this as you're just a frog in the well. You have no idea how powerful the Dao ancestor is. He can already calculate fate and know of everything that would happen in the world. How could he have no idea about this? Seeing that Feng Lin refused to take the bait, Fatty gritted his teeth. He no longer wasted words and immediately took out his ultimate technique. Dao friend Wukong, real men state their intentions clearly. As long as you tell me what the mission of the test is, I can give you any amount of star coins. How about 100,000 star coins? Feng Lin coldly smiled. He wasn't moved at all. 200,000 star coins. 300,000 star coins. 500,000 star coins. Fatty kept increasing the stakes, having an expression on his face as though money meant nothing to him. The smile on Feng Lin's face was still as cold as ever. Each of Dao ancestor Hongjuan's words is as valuable as pearls, worth 1,000 gold per character. How can I easily tell them to others? Feng Lin still wasn't hooked yet? Fatty felt that he was in a difficult situation. Could he have read Feng Lin's intention wrongly? This Dao friend Wukong didn't want to gain some money from him by withholding information? Wait, he was not incorrect. Given his judgment, as long as someone was the slightest bit keen toward making star coins, he wouldn't miss them. All of a sudden, this fatty thought of the words spoken by Feng Lin. He gradually saw through the layers of meaning. A character worth 1,000 gold? Things were as clear as day then. A smile finally appeared on Fatty's face. He decisively continued, let's do things this way then. A character for 1,000 gold. Dao friend Wukong, as long as you tell me the secret, I will pay you 1,000 star coins per character. There is no upper limit. Deal. Feng Lin didn't hesitate and agreed straight away for fear of Fatty changing his mind. He immediately reached out to shake Fatty's hand, to express that he was willing to deal. Machim, yummy.